Hello everyone, Joseph Dunphy here, and this is your weekly Grass10 grazing management update on the dairy edge. The pasture-based figures for the week are: average farm covers were 690 kilos of dry matter per hectare. The cover per livestock unit was 194 kilos of dry matter per hectare. Growth for the last 7 days was 57 kilos of dry matter per hectare. Demand was 53 kilos of dry matter per hectare. The pre-grazing yield dropped a little bit to 1,420 kilos of dry matter per hectare, and the diet from Pasture-Based Ireland was 14 kilos of grass and 4 kilos meal. Dry matter percentages were 17.5% recorded in Athenry, County Galway, 15% recorded in Oak Park, County Carlow, and 16% recorded in Moore Park, County Cork. Predicted grass growth, rainfall, and soil temperatures for the coming 7 days: better weather conditions at the minute. Grass growth predictions for the vast majority of the country are expected to be in the high 60s to mid 70 kilos of dry matter per hectare. This has been driven by, as you said already, growthy conditions, plus also high soil temperatures of 13 to 14 degrees. Predicted rainfall for the week, again, is quite variable, with the northern half expected to escape and a lot of the rain at maybe 7 or 8 millimetres of rain for the next 7 days. However, the southeast and the southwest in particular are expected to receive between 20 and 35 millimetres of rain. So on this week's podcast, I'm delighted to be joined by Michael Doran, dairy farmer from County Wexford. So Michael, how are things going on the farm at the minute?
Well, I suppose last week, Joe, was the first week that you could say that we had a normal spring week on the farm. We're probably running a month behind normal years in relation to decisions and where the farm is. So we had a growth of 96 last week, which was great. It meant that we have a wedge now that back looks pretty normal and pretty acceptable for this time of year. Average farm cover 870. And a cover per livestock unit of 191. So, we're pretty comfortable where we are.
Okay, so yeah, as you said, it's very much welcomed at this time of the year. We're out in mid-May at this stage. You should be, as you were saying, you should be seeing some of these growth rates a little bit earlier in May, but finally getting back on track. And I suppose, Michael, how is production on farm at the minute?
Sure, production has been a challenge this year. We're back about 20% year to date in supply. Currently we're milking just under 23 litres. 1.8 to 1.9 kilos of milk solids. Fat and protein, probably a bit disappointing for this farm, but 441 on fat and 341 on protein. But I suppose we were housed for 2.5 weeks in April, which would never happen on this farm, and it really hit just our production and our solids. And we're trying to catch up since. We did get an improvement once they got back out to grass, but not near what you would expect or hope there would be at this time of year.
Yeah, so I suppose the key decisions over the next couple of weeks, Michael, trying to keep the quality grass in front of cows and to hold whatever peak that farmers have reached, and to keep that protein figure moving along all the time is going to be key.
Yes, that's the real challenge for us now. We grass quality. We're probably 3 or 4 paddocks that just need to be tidied up, either pre-mow or topped after. If we can't skip them for bales, if growth stays strong, maybe we might be able to skip them and take them out for bales. But we took out 40 acres back in the middle of April of the first round that we weren't able to actually get grazed. And we'll pre-mow the paddock at that stage. They're coming back in now ready for grazing, so quality is really nice on those. On occasions we haven't been able to graze out paddocks the way you'd like to graze them out. We started the third rotation this week. So we're 3 weeks behind where you would expect the farm would be at this stage. But it's about trying to take a few decisions this week now just to start correcting some of those covers, and hopefully then that we will be actually able to maintain that for the coming month.
Okay, yeah. So Michael, and I suppose with having the high growth rates of 96, and again after a poorer spell, what are those key decisions now? What changes are you making to your wedge this week?
So we 10 days ago there, when we had a really wet week, we had a choice of either housing the cows or going back in and grazing 2 silage paddocks again. So we took the decision that with no silage in the yard, only what was made the previous week, we took the decision that we'd actually go and graze silage two silage paddocks again. So we've taken those back out of the wedge now. We've increased our stocking rate back up to 4.5, which should be, typical, or even some years we would go a little bit higher than that. We've taken them out. They'll get fertilized for a cut late June. We'll just do another cover now later on in the week again, and just try and see, can we afford to skip another paddock maybe for bales to improve quality. We'll keep fertilizer. We'll keep following the cows. We're either anything that hasn't got slurry has got a bag of 18-6-12 this round. Anything that has got slurry is getting protected urea with sulfur. Hopefully that'll just help us to maintain that growth rate above demand, and allow us to take out maybe other one or two paddocks just for bales.
Yeah, and as you said, when we look at the predicted grass growth for your farm from the prediction model this week, Michael, the prediction is to grow 84 kilos, which in general you've demand set are in around mid 70s there now for the coming 7 days. So you should be able to kind of hold that cover over the next week.
Yes, we should, and the predicted growth has been pretty accurate for the farm. So there's a bit of comfort in that. We had a bad day here on Monday this week. We had almost 20 mils of rain again. So, ground conditions are just a little bit tricky, but, I think the forecast doesn't improve. So, we should be able to just get graze outs a little bit better as the week goes on, and just stay on top of quality. I think, we need to just encourage cows to graze out. We're still using a strip wire because ground conditions wouldn't be perfect, and just to maintain graze outs, while at the same time trying to make sure cows are well allocated, that we're not actually going to hit that production at the moment.
Perfect. And just in general, Michael, on reseeding and oversowing, what's happening on the farm at the minute?
So normally we would be reseeding 10% of the farm every year, or even a bit with it. This year we've taken the decision, with everything reseeded in the last, every paddock, the oldest paddock now is 10 years since it was reseeded, still performing quite well. We've taken the decision with silage bits empty that we're not going to do any reseeding this year. We're going to skip a year, take a break. We have a little bit of extra ground coming in, so we're just going to put a red cover, clover silage cover, grass seed in that. It's not on the platform. But we need to just rebuild fodder reserves. I think that's the priority now for the farm this year, rather than reseeding. So we'll just make every effort to get as much silage as we can into the yard. We will oversow. We had very good clover percentages on the farm last year. We lost some of that clover over the winter. In particular, and most disappointing was 2 reseeds that we did last year. That didn't get grazed in September until late March this year, due to just too wet. We lost the clover in them. There's probably only 2 or 3% clover in them, so we're going to oversow them now this week as we're grazing them.
Okay, Michael, and just what's your plan for the oversowing? What varieties and at what rate are you?
So we have a grass harrow with a slug pellet applicator on it, and we'll just give that the minute the cows come out of the paddock, go in with that. And we'll go with 2 kilos an acre on it. That's been very successful on the farm for the last 3 years, getting establishment. There's plenty of moisture in the ground at the moment. There's more rain forecast for later on in the week, so I think it'll be ideal just to get it in. Ideally, we try to get it done in April, but I think there'll be enough moisture to just get establishment there now at the moment, and then it's about managing it then after that.
Okay, Michael, thanks a million for joining me on this week's podcast.
You're very welcome. Thanks, Joe.
So 3 key points from Michael Doran's piece there. Grass growth rates are improving throughout the country, so it's vital to get walk on your farm now every 5 days to stay on top of both sward quality and also availability of grass on farms. The temptation will be there to push the stocking rate up over the next couple of weeks. 65 kilos of a demand is a good place to be. After that, it gets more difficult to manage. If you do push it up to the mid-70s, try and make it that it's short term, and remove paddocks as surplus bales and get them growing again. It's also important to keep the nitrogen up to date. 1 unit per day if the stocking rate is high on the farm and you have a tight availability of grass. If you're in surplus, 0.8 units per day is fine. If you'd like to hear more from the Grass10 team, subscribe to the weekly Grass10 newsletter, which is available on the Grass10 page on the Teagasc public website. and the link to the newsletter is also available in the description of this podcast. This has been your Grass10 update, and I'll talk to you all next week.